Some of you out there have been waiting a very long time for this, and it's finally here. Howdy folks, and welcome to World of Warships once again with the mighty Jingles. Very happy to finally, once again, be showing you content from this fantastic new game from Wargaming. As you are no doubt aware, the game goes into closed beta test today. If you haven't already received your beta test invitation, there is a very limited opportunity, assuming you're quick, to go to your World of Warships portal and attempt to sign up for the beta today only. Limited window of opportunity. Good luck, hope you get in, and I hope to be syncing you at some point in the very near future. Let's take a look at what you can expect to see when you first log into World of Warships. So this is your port screen. This is where you're going to be spending all of your time between battles. When you first log into the game, only two ships will be available to you. One Tier 1 American cruiser, the USS Erie, and one Tier 1 Japanese cruiser, the IJN Katori. I don't have the Katori anymore. I got rid of it because I needed the space in my harbour. But that right there is your beginning Tier 1 American cruiser. And cruiser's probably too strong a word to use for these ships. They're essentially just gunboats, but they lead onto the cruiser line, so cruisers they are. Having a look at the tech tree, you can see how the various different naval lines develop. There's the American tech tree. The first thing you'll notice is that the American tech tree consists of, at the moment, as it did during the beta weekends, carriers, cruisers, and destroyers, and premium vessels here. The Japanese tech tree, battleships, including the mighty Yamato, cruisers, destroyers, and premium vessels here. Don't worry about that too much. Japanese aircraft carriers are on the way, as are American battleships. You can read the details about it on the World of Warships portal and the World of Warships blog. But for now, this is what's available in the game for you to play. And when you first log in, all you'll have are the two starting cruisers, the Erie and the Katori. At some point, obviously, you're going to want to start exploring the other cruisers, or maybe branching out to destroyers, battleships, or aircraft carriers. But before you do that, you have to fight battles, earn experience and credits, and, well, you know the score. It's exactly the same as World of Tanks and World of Warplanes. What's different about World of Warships, however, is that when you first log into World of Warships, you're not actually allowed to play against other players. I mentioned this in my beta weekend video. If you have a look up here, you'll see that I am a rank 6 player. I basically, and as well as all of the alpha testers, took our player rank progress through with us to the closed beta test. You will start off as a rank 1 player, and a rank 1 player is only allowed to play cooperative battles. Essentially, you're playing with other human players against teams of bots, and once you rank up your player ranking to rank 2, that's when random battles become available. So you have to practice against bots in order to graduate to actually being allowed to fire at other players, which I think is a very good system, and it's something that they did throughout the alpha test, introduced quite late on in the alpha test, the closed alpha that is, and also during the beta weekends as well. At rank 3, daily missions become available. At rank 4, free experience becomes available. They even give you 3,000 free experience as a bonus just for making it a rank 4. At rank 5, ship commanders become available. Your ships actually start getting captains. Not something you need to worry about at the moment. It's going to be a while before you make your way up to rank 5. A day or two, depending on how often you play. And then at rank 6, upgrades become available. So they kind of stagger the options that become available to you until you've actually got a bit of experience under your belt, which I don't think is a terrible idea. So for the moment, when you first log in, all you have to worry about is steering your ship and firing the guns. It's as simple as that. And that's pretty much exactly what we're going to show you now. This is pretty much exactly what you can expect to see when you hit that co-op battle button the very first time you take your ship out to sea in World of Warships. Your team consists of players, and if there aren't enough players queued up in the matchmaker to play a co-op battle at the appropriate tier, your team will be filled up with bots and the enemy team consists entirely of bots. Now, this is not going to be a pushover. The bots win all the time. They're pretty good. They will try to cap. They will focus fire vulnerable ships. They're quite a challenge. You're not necessarily going to win your first couple of games against the bots. In this particular match, it's a little bit harsh. Somebody in a Langley class aircraft carrier has decided, and that's tier 4, okay? Somebody in a Langley has decided they want to play a co-op battle. Probably spent too long sitting in the random battle queue, got bored and thought, I'll have a go at this. And that, of course, has dragged me into a tier 4 game. So, ow. This shouldn't happen for you. Your first game should just be tier 1s versus tier 1s. By the time you guys are able to log in, there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands of people queuing up for battle, so the matchmaker shouldn't be struggling to find a match in the way it was when I recorded this. I thought, however, I would show you this game anyway, because of the fact that I am in a tier 1 ship fighting against tier 2s, 3s and 4s may horrify you at first, but it's really not that big a deal in World of Warships. For now, however, let's just cover the basics. There is no tutorial in World of Warships yet, it is just a beta test. You can always press the F1 key in order to consult the help screen, but it's not really something you want to do while you're busy trying to steer the ship and avoid incoming fire. The control scheme is your typical basic first-person shooter control scheme. WASD controls your ship's movement, with W and S setting your ship's speed, and A and D moving the rudder to left or right, or port and starboard, since this is a naval game. You can use the mouse wheel to control the various different levels of zoom, but if you want to zoom in quickly to artillery aiming view like this, you can just simply press the shift key, exactly the same as in World of Tanks, and the game remembers what level of zoom you last had if you decide to suddenly switch back out, have a look around you for other threats, enemy ships, incoming torpedoes, things like that. Simply press shift once again and you go straight back to the last level of zoom that you'd set, just like that. When it comes to aiming your guns, it's a little bit more complicated than a game like World of Tanks, because unlike tanks, ships typically have more than one gun. The Erie class cruiser here has 4 gun turrets, 2 forward and 2 aft. By default, your gun turrets will always attempt to train on whichever bearing your camera is pointing down. So, as you can see here, if you look at the bottom left corner of the screen on a little schematic of the ship, you can see the icons of the gun turrets. When they flash green, as they did just there, that means they're not only pointed at where you want them to go, but they're also loaded and ready to fire. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to have one eye on the little ship schematic in the bottom left corner of the screen at all time. Right in the center of the screen, this is also mimicked by the individual aiming reticle that each gun also has. As you can see exactly where I'm aiming the guns ahead of that enemy cruiser, the reticles will flash green, let me know I'm on target, and I can fire. Now, when it comes to actually firing, there are 3 different ways of doing it. I realise this all sounds terribly complicated, but trust me, it really isn't. What I'm doing at the moment is salvo firing. I'm firing every gun at the same time, provided they're loaded, aimed, and ready to fire. And you do that by double-clicking the left mouse button. Alternatively, I could click and hold the left mouse button, and then each gun would fire in sequence, one after the other, until every gun that was capable of firing at whatever I was aiming at had fired its shot. And the third way of firing your guns is to simply just keep clicking the left mouse button, and then, much like ripple firing by clicking and holding the left mouse button, all of the guns that were capable of aiming at the target, that were loaded and pointing at the correct bearing, would fire as you tapped the mouse button, one after the other. But why would you want to do that, Jingles? Why would you not just fire everything that's ready to go as soon as it's ready to go? Well, double-clicking and firing shots in salvos does generally work most of the time, but if you're firing at something at long range that's small and fast-moving, like almost all of the destroyers, if you miss with one shot, then firing in a salvo, pretty much everything's going to miss. So ripple firing, one gun after the other, does allow you to adjust your aim between shots, and makes it, under certain circumstances, particularly at long range, a bit more effective at dealing with small, fast-moving targets. Now, when it comes to ammunition choices, at the moment there are only 2 different types of ammunition available for your guns. There's armor-piercing and high explosive. Later on, there will be various consumables that you can purchase in different ammunition types, but for the moment, armor-piercing and high explosive are all that you have. Which should you load, and when? Well, we could start talking about plunging fire, over penetration, and all kinds of complicated stuff, but you're new to the game, and the basic rule of thumb that will generally serve you well regardless of what you're shooting at is load armor piercing for battleships and fire high explosive at everything else. If you're shooting at a destroyer, fire high explosive at him. Destroyers have no armor. Armor piercing ammo will just over penetrate and go clean through the other side, doing minimal damage. Almost all of the cruisers have terrible armor as well. High explosive works well against cruisers. Aircraft carriers have no armor and are full of things that burn and go bang. Fire high explosive at aircraft carriers. If you're shooting at a battleship and you're in another battleship, fire armor piercing. If you're shooting at a battleship and you're in a destroyer, don't shoot at the battleship. Use your torpedoes on him. That's what they're for. More on torpedoes in a future video. It only really starts to get complicated if you're in a cruiser, because cruisers, while not having much armor, do tend to have pretty big guns. And cruiser captains really need to be on their toes, making sure that they've got the right ammunition choice for the right target at all times. It's very easy to forget what you've got loaded in the heat of the action and sit there firing armor piercing at a lightly armored cruiser or a destroyer and wonder why you're suddenly not doing any damage. Managed to do quite a bit of damage in this game though, which isn't bad for a tier 1 cruiser, a starting ship, in a tier 4 match. World of Warships is not like World of Tanks. Superficially it is, it shares a very similar interface, it's from the same company, but in World of Tanks you can generally, most of the time, get away with just worrying about what it is that you're doing without having to give too much thought to what it is that you're going to do. In World of Warships you always have to be thinking about what it is that you're going to do, because there are no bushes that you can hide behind in the middle of the ocean. You need to plan your moves well in advance, and if you do, you'll find that the difference between the various different tiers of the ships in any given battle isn't nearly as important as being in the right place at the right time. Now, I do expect that there are a fair number of you out there who know that you haven't yet been accepted into the closed beta test, and you've been watching this video and crying pure tears of rage and frustration. Well, for a select few of you, I have some good news. I do have some beta codes to give away. In order to have a chance at getting one of those codes, all you have to do is leave a comment on this video. Simple as that. I will be selecting people based purely at random, so don't try to butter me up and flatter me in the comments. I mean, you can if you want, I certainly won't object, but it's not going to affect your chances of winning one of the beta codes. Sorry. Just leave a comment. That's all you have to do, and after a day I will come back to the video, I will select a random bunch of winners from the comments, and I will send you your beta keys. Now, a word of warning about inputting these beta keys and getting yourself access to the closed beta. You must do it from the World of Warships website portal. Access your Wargaming account management page from the World of Warships portal, not World of Tanks, not World of Warplanes. You will find an activate bonus code link on your profile on the World of Tanks or World of Warplanes portals. If you try to enter this code there, it will accept the code and it will give you nothing. So don't be that guy. You will have wasted the code. Do it from the World of Warships webpage, and you will not be an unhappy hedgehog, you will be a very, very happy hedgehog. And I will be able to sync you, and that will make me a very happy hedgehog too. So let's all be happy hedgehogs. Happy hedgehogs are much, much better. So good luck to all of you. I hope that all of your closed beta applications are approved, and if they're not, I hope you're one of the lucky ones who wins one of the codes that I'm giving away thanks to Wargaming. As always, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.